So, you ready? 6:30, calling to order the ad hoc committee for the Prop 218. It is February 19th, 6:30 p.m. And attendants are
Logan Johnson.
Dale Mancino.
It's going to take me as well.
No problem.
Dennis Posey.
Sarah Beard.
Scott McRae. All right, we're gonna dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance. There's no public here, and get right into our agenda. So number one is a review of the Prop 218 rules and procedures in your packet. That starts with the Plumas account. On the very last page is some information. Basically, what we have is property-related fees that we're going to be dealing with. And there's 4 major points on there that deal with that. The very last page, Dennis. Okay. So no property owner's fee may exceed his or her proportionate share of any property-related fee or service. Local government may not divert, you gotta remember that, cannot divert property-related fee revenues to pay for other governmental programs. Local governments may not impose a property-related fee for a service not immediately available to the property owner. Local government must notify all property owners before imposing a property-related fee. Some fees would be subject to voter approval. That is the case with most of our Prop 218. Process, we will work and create a rate schedule. We'll develop a justification for the rates, and we're going to have a lot of different things to do. And then I'm hoping we will have at least 2 informational meetings with the community prior to mailing out the whole rate schedule and everything to every customer. There's a 45-day period that they get to review it. Then we'll hold a public meeting where they can approve it, contest it. And the way it can be contested is if 50% and plus 1 of the voters, of the households in here vote against it, then we have to start over again. Okay. Dennis, anything you want to add to the?
One thing, I don't think it's I think it's a hearing, a public hearing.
It's a public hearing, yes.
So those
we have to give them 45-day notice and the works.
And the customers don't vote, they may file a
Protest
a
letters.
protest.
Yes, thank you for the clarification. Very good.
So if we do not receive protest letters from 50% plus 1,
Then it is enacted.
carries.
It's-
Right.
It's
passes,
automatically enacted, correct, which we did the last time in 2021. Okay, there were some protests, but nowhere near enough. You also have with you the last one that was done in 2021. That's part of your information that you have in front of you. The justification
Yeah, I know
letter,
it's
we'll
very
be
well.
developing that. Now, let's go real quick to one of the first challenges that we're gonna have. And that was the last thing that we had. Again, if you saw, this was Jim's presentation last night on capital improvement plans. Okay, the challenges that the district is facing as far as being able to get grants and whatnot. So we are gonna have to develop, and some of this capital improvement plan will be done during the planning and steering next week. We'll begin that process. Jim Watley's gonna help develop some of it, and we're looking at probably 1 to 2 years of what are the absolute needs that we have to address. Okay, and then there will be ongoing up to 3 years, 5 years, even 10 year out that we need to take a look at.
Yeah.
So that's the information that was presented last night. You'll see that we do have some critical needs. One of the things that was mentioned was a large pressure reducing valve, 24-inch located. We do currently have 5 in
Yes.
various locations.
Yeah.
So we're gonna need to justify that expense.
Correct.
So someone's gonna say, why aren't these 5 good enough?
Well, first, just to correct you, it's a 24-inch valve replacement. That wouldn't be a
Oh,
pressure
I thought
reducing
that was
valve.
a PRV.
No, that's a
It's about,
broken valve open. that
Okay,
we-
so that's
That's
an
separate.
isolation.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
the large PRV replacement I think what he means is addition. It's not a replacement, it's an addition. We have
An
five
additional
currently.
one.
Yes,
Oh,
for
okay.
one of the zones that will
All right,
help
that
prevent
helps
major
clarify.
breaks.
Very good. And with a lot of the isolation valves we currently have, they've kind of frozen in place, open, haven't they?
Some of them, yes.
So that's because they weren't exercised on
Right.
a regular basis.
And just due time, they're old valves.
Okay, so I think for part of the justification, we may need to provide the public kind of a map of the irrigation district, where the current ones are, where the proposed one is, and the isolation valve, so that people understand what we're trying to do.
Correct.
Okay?
Yep.
And then possibly, and over the course of the next few months, maybe the staff can inspect the current isolation valves, find out whether you can rebuild some of those instead of having to replace them. That would be a lot cheaper.
Of course.
We still have issues at the water treatment plant.
Yep.
Train
Piping.
4, which is a filter, train 6.
Yep.
Okay, and those have costs to them.
Yes.
Fortunately, train
Which we
6
actually do have cost estimates for replacement on that already, don't we?
Didn't
Wasn't that
6,
included in PACES?
On
we had estimates of about 400,000.
Yeah, so-
Not to replace, but to rebuild everything
Right.
inside.
Right,
Okay,
because there was a replacement estimate, but it was
right.
one of the various different strategies. But
It was
PACE
part of
went through
rebuilding
and
the
did a
entire
study.
water treatment
Right.
plant, which is something that we have to address.
But that won't
Okay.
be in this.
Any questions on Prop 218 process or whatnot? I tried to just do a quick overview of it. Look at it if you have information, and if you don't have enough, look it up online. So you have a better idea. We want to make sure we follow the process exactly. They didn't do it right the very first time with the RCAC back in 2019, 2020, and it was thrown out. We had the public hearing, but we discovered that they didn't do it right, so they had to start over again. Plus, we were challenging it anyway. Okay, so it's going to be important for us to do this right. Let's go on to review of the financial statement. Did you have that in there? Okay.
The P&L.
Part of the strategy in this is to get accurate P&Ls. Okay, so we have been discovering over time that there have been some errors or oversight or miscoding. In fact,
I just have the.
Dale, I found
What
one.
page is the, I don't have.
I don't think it's in there.
I don't have the P&L in here. I just have my apologies.
I have both the January and the 6th month. And
I can make copies of that.
just the January,
Okay.
because I can talk about the rest of it. But
Do you want me to?
I am going to want to talk to you about, where is the 6th month? There was I noticed reading through it that there was a line item, and it was the disposal of the sludge. It was brought from the ponds, just dropped here to dry out,
Mhm,
and then disposed of at a landfill
mhm.
at a cost of just under $1,000. I don't know that it ever got into the grant money for our reimbursement.
Yeah.
And that's
I'll have to
$1,000.
double check on that.
So,
I'll make
yeah, why don't you go do
the
that?
P&Ls real quick for January.
As
There you go.
Jim talked about last night, that some of the challenges with the P&L were, there were some inaccuracies.
That's January's fine for 2026. We're looking at January 2026 financials.
No, yeah, you're gonna look at January. We do have, and it should be on the website also, the July 1 through December 31 of last year, which is the first 6 months of this current fiscal year. Okay, and that's available. And we did look at that last night. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but we did. And I think is it in this packet?
Is that last time packet?
Yeah,
The 6 month?
the 6 months. yeah.
No, I don't remember what it was.
Okay, I had it at the finance committee meeting that morning. Okay, and there were some issues with some coding and the fact that, as an example, we had a vehicle in an accident that our employee did not cause. We showed the expense to repair the vehicle, but the check from the insurance company never came into the revenue side. So
So we don't know where
that
it
throws
is?
it. Well, no, we received it
Oh.
and never got coded and put in properly.
Oh.
So we're dealing with issues like that. The grant monies, I don't like showing up in a P&L because they skew what is the real operational, monthly operational.
Badly.
We need to have reconciliation of the account on a regular basis, but if you look, when you see it, you're gonna get, it's gonna show like the month was a minus 75,000. But it really wasn't, it was a plus 11,000 or so.
Okay.
Okay, so for us, for the community, I need a little more transparency. The 6 month showed that we had $1.3+ million profit. But we didn't, because the money's going out to pay contractors for the grant project, and the money's coming in from the state didn't, match up exactly because the state's slow reimbursing.
Right.
So we
Might need to have-
actually had about a $4,000 loss for the 6 months.
So I wonder, it has to be like, GAP compliant financials.
I understand.
But
And
as
that's
if we
what we're
have
trying to work
financials posted for the public, it can be like, maybe just a disclosure on the bottom, like non-GAP compliant or something like that,
Yeah, I
just so that,
understand. What I've had to do lately is take the total revenue and go to each of the categories with their expenses, total them up, and then, figure out the difference, plus or minus. So that I'm taking up, we received money about 7 years ago for the car fire insurance claim, and they gave us more money than we needed. We held it in an account, paid out as we needed it, but they wanted to close it out. We owed them $160,000 back. Showed up in the P&L as an expense, but it was a reimbursement. So
Right.
it's like, holy now, guys. So that's some of the challenges we're facing with understanding. Go ahead, Dennis.
So would it be possible, and I listened to Jim talk last night, and Jim, as he states, we need, to do the 218 study, we need to have good statements, good financial statements. So does the district they need to hire a temporary
Well, that's something we've been
Professional.
discussing. Okay?
professional to get us
assist.
up to speed?
Right,
Yes.
whether it be J.R. Martin or somebody on the outside.
And I've been looking into that,
Yeah.
outsourcing, help.
Is that something we need to build into this going
No,
forward?
because we'll
No.
need it before we
Yeah.
enact the new rates.
Prior to.
Yeah.
This is prior, so we're gonna have to eat this. Okay,
That's fine, that's fair.
All right.
Are we thinking that
and
this is
there
something
are areas
we
in the
will
budget
do?
where we can make some
Like
adjustments.
permanent?
Semi?
I just think it's,
Or just get
during
caught?
to get caught up.
you could always, if you find the right company that does a lot of these audits and is not as current on non-for-profit or governmental accounting practices anymore, but a firm that does that and does the audits, that could come in and do like a quarterly review.
Right.
Two would be just a couple hours, do a quarterly review of the books, make sure everything's looking.
That's kind of what we're looking
Yeah.
at. Yeah, of what I've been looking at.
Yeah, and maybe help us with some of the QuickBooks where we can
Yes.
create some of those line items that are missing
Mhm.
for a little better tracking. Next on there is projected changes over the next 1 to 5 years. We will determine whether we want to do this every year, every 2 years, every 3, every 5 years on a Prop 218. And we'll discuss that in a little bit. But if you take a look at that first page of the January P&L, it starts about halfway down with expenses. So right now we have these various categories over the next few pages of expenses. So we know that there are certain things that are going to happen and already have happened. Increases in cost of water, right off the bat, it's the water treatment plant. So the chemical that we have to purchase for there, the anthracite that goes in the tanks, the electricity, the phone lines, the SCADA communication lines. We have an issue going on right now. We have to do an upgrade
Correct.
because AT&T is no longer supporting that. And then there's, the O&Ms, the operation, maintenance, repairs, whatnot, vehicle expense for their, and that's just the first category, the water treatment plant. So we have, I'm gonna see a line here on expenses. Water treatment plant is the first one, and there's various categories. So we need to take a look at the budget to actuals for the last few years and determine what percentage increase we have been experiencing over time on the various line items underneath the water treatment plant. Same thing under distribution, under administration, under regulatory fees, under benefits, under the insurance. It just goes on and on. So this P&L will give you the basics on each of those various categories that we need to look into, that staff is going to have to provide us with some of the information.
I don't know if we'd have to do a budget to actual if we're reviewing past
Right,
performance. Let's
Yeah.
just get 5 years
yeah.
of financials,
I understand,
right?
but I'm also looking at patterns in percentage increase.
Yeah, and we
Because
just
we
look
have
at
had some
actual.
spikes, but then we take an average, sure.
Yeah,
And then we have to not only do that, we have to project what we think it might be in the next year or the year after. So do we take that figure, that 5-year average, and project it in? Because there was an anomaly, a peak in there at one time.
Well, we may not take an average, we may look at, the books are up better currently than they
Than they
were.
were in the past.
Were 5 years
Exactly.
ago, so the more current are gonna be the accurate ones.
Right.
And there's been a lot of expenses to update software, computers, everything. And so the current ones would be closer to what we want to use.
Right.
Right. So currently, built into the rates is a 1.8% annual increase in the sort of the consumer price index, which relates into the base rate. Okay, so every July 1, it goes up by 1.8%. But we know inflation's been higher than that. So
Right.
after 5 years now,
Yeah.
we are almost in a deficit spending at the very end of it. And that's another reason I think we should be looking at shorter terms to be a little more proactive.
Yeah.
So we'll have to figure out what the new one is. I have some estimates in my head, but I don't have the facts and figures to justify it just yet.
is there a way to say CPI plus
Right.
up to 2%, depending on
Oh,
inflation?
we may want to go 3.2,
Okay,
3.8.
so I know sometimes
We
you
don't
look
know
at
yet.
rates and they can say it's the federal rate plus up to 3%, but if we have a little
Right.
bit of wiggle room there, and then we know it's gonna be at least 1.8 plus, we have an allowance of, up to 3% more that we can do.
What are the other districts doing too?
Yeah.
We need to review those things.
Okay,
What is the percentage increase that they're doing? Because, hey, you might as well,
Yeah.
go off the backs of someone else's work too, if we can.
Also with the turn line of, instead of doing like a 5-year plan, but have verbiage in there that due to maybe potential cost increase, that they might redo
Right.
the Prop 218 and the water rate structure
Here's a,
at 2 or 3 years based on
Correct.
assessment. So maybe putting verbiage into the,
and if we don't do it right, we're gonna end up kind of like the city of Anderson is right now on their sewage treatment. Last year, they did a 70% increase on that fee. This year, they're doing a 70% increase. Next year, they're doing a 40% increase.
Wow.
We can't do that to our customers.
No.
Okay? So we have to figure out what's right and cover all the bases. Any questions on that? So, you're gonna go off the P&L for various things. And then that includes every category, every total, okay? And the subcategories underneath those for water treatment, for distribution, all those. And then we have to take a look at what those percentages were, build that in and project it in the future. Then we also have to take a look at the capital improvement plans that are in that sheet that Jim did last night. Because we have to build those things into the rate.
Yes.
Okay, we have to build funds in there. So I've got, these are potential reserve accounts, okay? And that, any monies we collect which should be identified as going into either the water treatment distribution administrative building. Okay, and I did a little calculations, and for the administrative building, if we increase the base rate or add it to the 1081,
Right.
25 cents for just the administrative building on each monthly bill, based strictly right now on the base rate payers, which is 2,657 customers. We would collect annually, $7,900 at 25 cents a customer. Over 5 years, it'd be just under $40,000. Now, what would we use that for? Paint the building, replace carpeting, a new roof,
Right.
AC units, or they needed some electrical work somewhere, or we have to upgrade, I don't know, emergency type stuff.
Right.
So right now, we have $0 in reserve for this building. Okay,
So
so.
would that be part of that capital improvement plan?
Actually, yes, because it would be something that we would identify as, well, you know what, in 8
Potentially,
years, we
yes.
have to replace the roof. And
Right.
We anticipate it's gonna cost this, so that's your capital improvement plan. Or the life of the AC units is X, and we expect it has this much more life to it. So in 3 to 5 years, we have to replace 1 or 2 of them, or the furnace, or whatever. So
But what would be like, because we have X number of people that aren't paying their bills or, and stuff like that.
about 95% do.
Okay.
Okay, and if we include the customers who have a meter, but it's not currently active in these things, then we can add another 100 and what?
180.
Okay, so we could add that in also to the people paying the 1081, which is allowed under it because it is directly a property related fee. So just as an example, we can determine, and make the recommendation to the board, 25 cents. Does that make sense at all? It's a small hit to the customer with a huge impact over time for this
District.
asset,
Right.
okay? So let's then talk about the water treatment plant. Right now, we are collecting 4.1% of any water sales, okay? And that over the last 6 months was approximately $9,600. Has not been transferred in, I don't think. But I think it's mislabeled.
Yeah.
Because it's on the paperwork, it says it goes into operations. And operations can be anything, including distribution. So we want to make recommendations that there is a reserve account that is identified for the water treatment.
Yeah.
One that's for distribution.
Is
Okay.
there, historically, can you look at the maintenance costs of the water treatment plant and of the distribution? And maybe
Oh,
of the
yeah.
admin building?
Yes.
So we
Yeah,
can
and that's-
actually look and say, hey, even if it's right now, it's 4.1%, and we're collecting, so 20,000 a year, and that 4.1% for the water treatment plant.
Mhm.
But historically, it's been 25,000 in maintenance, then
Oh,
there's no
yes.
reserve, that's just covering the annual expense.
Exactly, and
right.
that's
Okay.
what we're applying here.
I think what we're gonna try to develop here is reserves for future projects.
Future, not
for the
covering-
capital improvement.
Right, that's
So to
4.1 is,
replace train 6, to replace train 4. We're coming up at about September or so of next year of the end of the 30-year loan on the water treatment plant. At least 2.4 million. There were 2 loans. One was 400,000 and one's 2.4 million. And the smaller one has a bit longer because I think they started building it and said, oh, we need more money. So they got an additional loan for just under $500,000. Okay, so we had Pace Engineering do some studies, and we have 8, 10, and 12, was it? Million to rebuild?
Yeah, 8,
Okay.
10, 12.
8 to 12 million to rebuild, okay?
In the water treatment or the
That's the
distribution?
water
That's
treatment
just
plant.
the treatment.
This is the water treatment,
Oh,
okay? Those are the costs.
Wow.
Now, it was part grant, wasn't it? Grant/loan, okay? And we'll have to try for that again. Currently, we pay $755 a month on that in our bill.
Right.
Now, probably at the end of the year, the state's gonna require us to pay off because we have to have a restricted reserve account. We have about 288,000 in, I think. And the payment's about 210, 220. So it's in a CD, it's been earning interest for years. But we're gonna-
288.
We're gonna have to pay that off. They're probably gonna send a demand letter to pay off the balance of that loan about the end of the year. The money's in the reserve account, not a problem.
Okay.
But to rebuild it, we have to have funds to show that we can support the loan. And they'll require us to have at least 1 year of payments set into a restricted reserve account for that. So it's gonna be important, what can we get done with that? You know, as far as grants and whatnot, USDA,
And that's.
Department of Water Resources. Like Jim said last night, we can't rely on grants right now because
Exactly.
we aren't in a critical emergency situation.
Complete failure.
But USDA, safe drinking water, and there are other avenues out there.
Yes.
Department of Water Resources that we can probably
Good grant.
work towards there. So we have to look at capital improvement of what we can do now. What are the critical things to be done now, and how do we pay for them over the next, actually, 1 to 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to just bring it, we've already got several reserve accounts.
Yeah, you have a list of them.
Could the board simply say, well, this reserve includes the treatment plan or something like that, or,
Well,
and instead of just having a whole list of reserves?
and that's something that the planning and steering is gonna take up also on our agenda, our meeting next week. We're gonna rename some, make recommendations to the board about renaming some, maybe creating some new ones. And that's some of what we wanted to talk about tonight was, do we wanna create some new ones? Recommend that the planning and steering take a look at it. We do it, and Logan and I are the planning and steering, so in a sense,
Okay.
it's happening now.
Yes.
Okay, but I want your guys' input, your customers, you have your own backgrounds and whatnot, so it's important. So if you take a look at it though, like, if you look at the reserves, the emergency reserve has $469 in it, Dennis,
All right.
okay?
Where's the reserve? Is-
Oh,
Right here,
right.
Plumas. There's a couple of sheets there. So this lists all of our reserve accounts. Now, if you look at the very first page, in the
There's
sweep
our
account,
emergency reserves.
there's money from the state that we have to reimburse RCAC for the grant, for the backwash pond grant. So we don't have that much money actually. You
You know
need to
how much
send
it
at
is?
least, probably 1.6 million has to go back to them.
Yeah,
But we need to find out how much the state still owes us
correct.
by contractor billings that we submitted for reimbursement and have paid the contractors because we're about to wrap up the
Yes.
whole project.
Yep.
So there'll be a reconciliation done on that whole project so that we can make sure, and like I said, I think I've identified about $1,000 that we need to make sure it got coded properly and the district gets the money back for that. And since we're, these are the things we need to look at pretty hard,
Absolutely.
okay? So, you see the reserves there, Dennis?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I see the operational reserve.
Right, and that's where the money, that 4.1% is supposed to be going. Okay, but it's water related, it's a water treatment plant. So I don't necessarily like the fact that it's going into operations because operations to me is a little vague.
So the 48,000 is,
That's our
Only
operational
that.
reserves.
so
And
what's
it's
the?
not just the 4.1.
Okay, so they
I'm
need
not quite sure what all is in it
to
at this point.
separate that.
Possibly, or a sub-account
Sub-account.
in that, was what I was thinking.
How much does the 4.1 end up equaling out?
For the first 6 months of this fiscal year, it ran to right about $9,600 collected. Okay, that's not much, is it?
That's pennies.
That's pennies.
When it costs,
9,600.
$9,600.
Year?
So far, for the
6
first 6 months.
Oh, yeah. It's-
Okay, that's
so
pennies.
less than 20 a year is,
Exactly.
that's not gonna do a dent.
That's not gonna do a thing. So we have to create a reserve account and build into our rate study monies that are identified to help with the water treatment plant, to help
Right.
with distribution, to help with
Yes.
the administration value. So let's go with some numbers I ran based on just on the 2657 customers, not the extra 180. If we did in the rate for the customers an additional $2 a month, that's 63,700 and change annually, and would go to that reserve account
Yes.
for capital improvements. If we did $3, it's 95,600.
What's the dollar amount currently?
Yeah, what is the
Zero.
average?
Okay.
No, it's
4.1.
1.8%,
1.8%.
but that covers everything,
Yes.
okay?
So like at the 4.1%,
Which is based on water only,
Yes.
just the water sales.
what is that?
That's 9,600.
Okay, I was thinking.
For the first 6
I was
months.
thinking actual dollar amount, sorry.
No,
Just,
I gotcha.
So it's gonna be about 19,000 annually.
speaking with some of the other districts, general managers, word of mouth is, they, for reserve accounts like this, they were saying about $8 to $12 extra going into those accounts that
Every
we're
month
proposing
by
now.
every customer.
So if you can think about that, they have a lot more money in their reserves.
And they've been doing it for years.
Do they run that as fees on base rates, or do they run that on
We
water?
used to.
I think that's
No,
just fees.
that's in their base, I'm
Those
pretty
fees
sure.
on-
Yes.
Those are fees in there.
Yeah, 'cause you can't.
We
have
can't do
one.
that steep to our customer.
And that's not what I'm proposing, I'm just using that as.
So
as
we
an
have to
example.
find a way to blend it in some.
But
Okay.
see, $2 and $3 is not much a month. I mean,
No.
in,
Right,
in the grand scheme, but granted, $2 or $3 here, $2 or $3 there
Right,
adds
Here,
up that
here,
could end up being
here, and here.
$12.
you
yes.
see what
Well-
I'm saying? If we go 3 and 3, that's $6 a month.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, we're gonna have to
You've
bump
got
it up a little bit
755 that's
anyway.
gonna drop off of this
Correct?
though. Yes.
But when we go with the rebuild in a year or two,
Right,
we have to come up with some money to pay for that part, and it may be more than that.
right.
Exactly.
So that 755 is going, but
It's coming back.
it's coming back and then some.
But
Which is
also,
for
you
what we're
can
trying to
mitigate, and I'm putting this in parentheses, the damage and the impact by prolonging it. Saying do $2 or $3 this year and then the next year $1.
Well, that's why I'm saying we need to take a look at and not do a Prop 218 every 5 years.
Every
but
year,
maybe
every other
every year or year and
Yes.
every 2 years.
Putting an actual in it.
So that we have a more accurate, this is what's really happening, real-time changes or whatnot.
And
instead
we're
of
not,
what happened 5 years
the
ago.
customer's not getting the brutal impact of
Right.
$5 all at once,
That's
it's
the big one.
Well, no,
$2
it's
here.
more than $5.
I'm
Because
just
when we
saying in
enacted this
general.
thing,
Right,
a lot of the customers are paying, what, $22 a month?
I think we.
And
moved
we
that
went to
one.
55.
and that's
That's
what we're,
brutal.
yeah, that's not what we're trying, we don't wanna do that, we wanna prolong it out and it be gradual,
Yeah.
that
I'd
people
like-
can be accustomed to.
Yeah, I'd like to remind the board members that the customers voted the thing down 2 times
Right,
Oh, yeah.
prior to getting one approved.
Oh, I know.
right.
Yeah.
I know.
And it's understandable. I mean, nobody wants to be paying more, but prices go up, everything goes up, you know?
And if we were doing this 10, 15, 20 years ago,
We wouldn't
we'd
be in this
increase a little bit.
Exactly. We wouldn't be in this situation, but we're here now.
Yeah.
So, opinion, 63,000, 95,000, $2 a month or $3 on the rate. That's what you're looking at. Based on the 2657.
I think you'd have to look at the grand picture. Like, how much is the bill going to increase
Right.
Oh, I agree.
on the grand
Yes.
scheme before determining
Correct.
that we're gonna go with the
And
$2?
if we stick with this for the administrative building, because there is none, that's not bad. I
No.
don't think anybody's gonna complain about that. And our job is to keep the district fiscally sound and meet the needs over the next 3 to 5 years.
And that's the ultimate goal.
Right. So the justification letter has to show why we're doing it, what it's needed for and whatnot, and maybe what the historical costs were over the last 5 years for regulatory fees, which have gone up a lot. Insurance on
Yes.
our vehicles has gone up a lot.
Chemicals, everything.
Chemicals, they're all, and we have to let the public know that this is what's gonna happen.
So your $2 to $3, you'd be looking at that for distribution and
Both of
And
them,
one
each,
for
each, one for each, separate reserve accounts for capital improvement plans for each of those areas.
Right.
Okay? And not restricted, but in the past, and years ago, and you know this too, before Paul, that skipper guy, instead of doing a Prop 218 for years, he raided the reserve accounts, bled them almost dry. Okay, we've been building them for the last few years, but
We had large reserves.
large,
Yeah, we're not doing that, so.
no.
we can't do. We'll close this place.
Exactly.
Well, yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but, no, it's a serious matter, and I think that this, that we're proposing with the $2, $3, whatever it is a must to keep the district going strong and
how high
to
do we
meet all of
go?
our needs.
We need to know how high we can go,
Right.
what's reasonable, okay? Do we add another $2 and add those two together? And that's how much you collect annually for each of those? I don't know. We need to get a better idea of costs for our
Yeah.
capital improvement plans.
Because the
Okay.
distribution goes to our infrastructure of our like pipes and our water mains breaking and stuff like that.
Right.
And the valves,
Right.
so,
So, I mean, in reality, how much are we spending on one valve, one shut-off valve? Thousands.
Mhm.
oh, more than that.
Thousands to tens of thousands
Well,
on one valve alone.
When
So, I
Bill
mean,
was
that's-
interim, a 16-inch brass valve just over here, and he got a quote, it was 85,000.
Right,
we
so
didn't have
that's
the money.
1 year's,
4 months later, it was 120,000.
Yeah.
It's the same valve.
that was like the
Wow.
COVID era.
That was the COVID era. Yes,
Garbage.
that's correct.
Yeah,
So we have to be careful about that and set up a plan for, and we're gonna need your help and Morgan's, what needs to be done, what are the critical ones, what can wait a year, what can wait 2 years, so that we
exactly.
can dollar cost it in the repairs.
So currently, there is nothing being collected for distribution reserve, is that?
Oh, no, there's more than nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Hence the proposal we're showing now, because it's a critical deal, the Prop 218, and adding these extra fees. Nobody wants to do that. I don't want to do it, but it's going to have to be done so that we can keep this place operating properly.
Because we're running
Because-
on pipes that are 30, 40, 50.
50 years old, yeah.
Well,
Yes.
you know, the great thing about if we run this at $3, say we run this at $3 for the first year, $4 for the second year, $5 for the third year.
Right.
I don't think you want to push this to $10 for reserve fees in the
No.
next decade. You know, that's
No.
probably 15 to 20 years down the road.
Right.
But say we do that, we're at 95,000 in the first year, so on and so forth. If we have good years without massive emergency need of spending, we can
that's why you
actually
do
we
your,
can actually identify lines in the system
Yeah.
that we can isolate and start going.
That's
through
correct.
and having the ability to
And
And if
that's the goal.
fund
uh,
major construction
Now,
in-house.
when I got here at the district, I looked at everything and just from my experience and what I'm seeing in the field and from everybody that has worked here, that's hence the large PRV implementation. There's high pressures in the pipes. That's why we're having these exploding ACs, because they can't withstand it. Well, if we put a PRV station in,
Right.
it'll be one initial shock. Say let's say it's 100,000 for
Okay.
a large one.
It might
We
be.
get that in, that can
Installed.
sustain the infrastructure for longer periods where we're not having these major blowouts. So we wouldn't be eating through the reserves. We'd be actually building.
We also then have to put in here replacement of some of the isolation valves. So that
Exactly.
if you have to do repair, you're not shutting down half the district,
And that's the other part.
okay? So
That's the
we have that
second
issue too.
Yes.
And that has to be figured in to the rates. that we have the money to do those gradually, but we dollar costed it over a number of years. And to your point, maybe we go with 2, maybe we go with 3, okay? A year from now, 2 years from now, we take a look at, we're doing real well. It's been 3, let's cut it to 2.
Yeah.
Or no, we
depending on-
keep it at 3
exactly.
because we still have, X, Y, and whatever left to do, okay? Yeah.
I got a question. I just see 2 reserves here. I thought there was about 5.
These are all reserve accounts.
They are.
Yeah. And in fact, one of the reserve accounts, the car fire, in the next month is going away.
Yeah, and I
Because
put
we
that on.
resolved it.
So this one will be gone.
Logan, we're gonna make a recommendation to the board on where to put that additional, just under $18,000. Right, and we're probably gonna wanna put it into, or recommend that it's put into one of these reserves.
100%, let's start,
Okay,
put
either
some of
the
it-
emergency
I was gonna
reserve,
say probably just
or, one of these
for
reserves.
now, bring that emergency up, but
By the same token, when we get to, within the year, on the filter plant loan, we're gonna have maybe $60,000-$80,000 in, and that should be moved into, and the
Yes.
board has to identify where.
Yeah.
now, Scott and Dale, these,
Yeah.
Plymouth Bank recycle backwash accounts, those should both be closing soon, should they not?
So the,
If it's the grant account, that would be one thing, but we have 38 cents in there because there was a loan. We, on our bill, part of the 1081 is 0.38 cent, 38 cents. And that'll be ongoing for a long time still,
So
because I think it was
I think
2017.
that's this
That's
one.
the
It came on.
$50,000, $325.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this one with the 817, the backwash pond repair,
Mhm.
that had a surplus in it. We pulled it out, put it in the sweep account to pay it off.
Okay,
So that one's
that's
gonna
what I
close.
was,
Yeah, that one's gonna
I
close.
know we had funds in the sweep for that, so
Yes,
that's where those came from, that's closing.
Reserve.
that's why it's so small, because they
I'm not sure
took,
if
they
it's-
just kept a little bit in there, and then we can transfer it and close it out.
Now, the Win Act account is gonna be there for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, because we took general funds to pay it off early, okay, to secure our water allotment through the Bureau of Reclamation. We receive, on a normal water year, up to 15,300 acre feet of water we can purchase, okay? By paying off the WIN Act, Water Improvement Infrastructure for the Nation is what the acronym stands for. That secured us in perpetuity in a normal water year. They have the right now to restrict how much we get, okay? And the other positive to that is, while Paul was still the GM, I worked with him, and we have a couple of water agencies to the south who may want to buy water from us, okay? Even if the Bureau restricts us a little bit this year, say they only give us 75% of our allotment, we could still sell 4,000 or 5,000 acre feet down south. And if we can make, I'm hoping $25 profit per acre foot, then you're talking sticking aside $60,000, $80,000 and into a capital improvement or a reserve account. So I'm hoping, and quite frankly, I've got a feeling that the next drought is going to start beginning, because our weather pattern's really off this year. Some rains early, nothing in all of January. Now we're getting hit, but then NOAA's and a couple other climate prediction sites say below average for the rest of the water year. And I look at the weather all the time, and by the end of next week, we start a dry pattern into March, and we hit the 70s. So.
On the WIN account, is that kind of like an IOU back? general
Which
fund?
account?
The WIN, you're talking about the WIN
Yeah.
account?
Yeah.
So do we have a reconciliation somewhere of what we funded and what we need to get repaid?
Yes.
Okay.
And I challenged Paul on that constantly. He thought it was this much, and I said, no, it's this much. And it has about another 6.5 approximate years for the customers, and it's the $1.88 on your bill.
Two questions on that.
Go ahead.
Did we get confirmation back from the state in regards to what we were actually paying back on the Win Act? Because I know with the.
It's all paid off.
Right, but there was two different money amounts, and they said, oh, no, it was supposed to be this, and it was supposed to be that.
No, that was the Bureau of Reclamation on a reconciliation.
Okay,
And they are so far behind
it's,
that it'll be 10 years before they bring it up again. They're short-staffed and
Right.
the second.
I'm not worried about, and it was, besides that, it was difference between about 46,000 and 57,000. They wanted the higher number and we said, no, we only owe this.
So,
So,
I'm sorry, I just want to understand this. So we're not currently paying out anything
No,
annually, but we're
we are
collecting the money.
recapturing the money.
So we should be able to replenish the general account that wouldn't
Yes.
maybe need the money, so we might be able to actually put this
We
into a
have,
reserve.
we worked out to where once a year, 50,000 should be coming out of that account and go into the general fund.
Okay.
Okay, that's what the plan was. If we are fully collected, it's just under 60,000.
Okay.
But we didn't want to assume we'd collect every penny because we know we only collect about 95%. We used to collect only 88 until we got a little serious.
So, yeah, so when we do the rates, do we want to just eliminate that?
No.
And just include it in,
The Win Act repayment has to be,
I think
has
it's
to continue.
separate. I think it's separate. It's not something that we're trying to come up with as a reserve.
Yeah,
It's
no.
already been paid. It's already been
Yeah,
expensed,
right.
right? Yeah.
But when we list the rates
but I mean, it's
for the various things, the Win Act will have to stay for another 6 to 7 years.
So it's not
In the
for
rates.
debate in our 218 prop study, like it's gonna be a set in stone figure.
Well, it is,
okay.
but eventually, we will come up to a point where, and we don't have to do a Prop 218 to erase a fee. We can just say, it's paid off, you know, by the way, you no longer have to pay this amount. You know,
But I mean, so it's gotta be a separate thing on the customer's bill.
It is. It is
Yeah, I
listed
know
separately.
it.
What,
I know it.
what
Because I
Dennis
get
is
it.
saying is
Yeah.
when we implement, I think I understand you correctly, when we implement the $2 or $3 or whatever, you're saying, is that going to be absolved in that?
I'm saying, the district could still take the money and put it in that account. I just didn't know if it had to be a separate line item bill, a separate line item.
On the bill. It is it not?
Yeah.
$1.88?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how
If
much
it
it
does,
is.
that's fine.
Okay,
No problem.
so that's gonna stay a while. The car fire is going away. The Win Act stays. The backwash pond, that's at 38 cents on the bill. And we do have to make periodic payments on that loan.
Is that account 5219 or 5243?
For which
The
one?
backwash?
The backwash pond repair, I believe, is the 5219,
Yeah, that was,
$817.
And this is 38,
I'm sorry,
the charge currently?
38 cents monthly.
So there was a reserve for the main pipeline coming out of Whiskey Town
We're
Lake.
talking the Mealtown conduit,
Yeah, but there was a separate reserve for that.
and it disappeared, I
You
guess.
know, emergency reserve.
Okay, you mean that whole $470?
Well, if that's what that is. I thought there was an emergency, there was a conduit, there was a pipeline. there was-
Well, these are the reserve accounts we have right now.
Yeah, so I think some of those went away because they were zeroed out.
Yes, just like we're getting rid of the car fire, and eventually the filter plant loan, the reserves for that. Okay, which has currently, what, 188,000 or something in it? No, 156,000 plus.
So that's gonna be paid on.
Right. That's the 755 on the bill, itemized as part of that 1081. Okay, so let me ask you, your opinion. If we're gonna do some of these things, do we do it just as part of the base rate, or do we include the other 180 accounts? There's 1081s that aren't actively receiving water. They're not on standby, you can't call them standby. There's a legal reason for it. So do we include any of this into those people also?
I think
Because
What's our
it is a fee related to their ability to have water.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Do we?
Yeah, what?
Do they get billed
Is it
anything?
realistic that we're gonna collect anything from those 180 accounts?
Most of them are paying, actually, aren't they?
So what are they paying currently?
1081.
1081.
$10.
Just
Right.
to, what do we?
They have a
what do we
meter,
consider that?
but it's not active. And they're paying 1081,
Yeah,
which is the filter plant, the
Yeah,
WIN
all
Act,
those fees.
the dollar state, which we have to address, and the 38 cents.
Yeah, I
1081.
think that should.
Oh,
Yeah, that's-
the total fees in
Yes,
addition to the base
not
rate.
including the
Okay.
base
Which
rate.
that would theoretically go up, obviously, if we're adding 25 cents to the administration fee.
That's what we're
And
talking
anything for any of these.
It could go up to
I guess I don't
15.
understand why they would not be included if they're
I
already
agree.
paying the base
That's what
rate
I'm
fees.
saying as well, yeah, they should.
In some districts, you have a meter, even if act or not, you pay everything.
Yeah.
Base rate, the whole works.
Right,
I don't know that we can do that right off the bat for an extra 180 people. Their option would only be pay it or have the meter removed.
Or locked out.
right.
Well, no, we would still bill them. And it would end up as a lien on their property. So if there's a meter and we decide everybody should, or we make a recommendation, the board approves it, that everybody pays the base rate and everything, their choices are pay it or have the meter pulled and lose their capacity fee, which is $11,000-12,000. And then it makes it a little harder to sell because that person has to spend that money to reactivate it.
Well, the equitable thing is if they have a meter, they should be paying the rate. I
Okay.
mean, obviously, they're not using water, so we wouldn't charge them water rate.
Well, right, they wouldn't be paying the water,
Of the
right,
X percent.
which
or
is
X
on the
dollars.
bill,
Yeah.
but would they be paying the base rate, which is all the administrative and whatnot?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
why
we
not?
still are recognizing and billing.
I think so.
So it's currently $60 and what a month?
It's like, the base rate's 50-something dollars.
No, it's over 60 now, because we did
Base
the one.
service is $59.31
Oh, is it
as of
59.31?
effective July 1st, 2025.
Okay, and it goes up 1.8.
For domestic.
Okay,
Yeah,
Actually, it
No,
doesn't matter. It's
that's the
same
base
for-
rate.
Right, yeah.
okay, and it doesn't matter what size meter, and we really don't
Correct.
want to do meter size. So if we do that and we go with 3, that's another 625. Plus the 1081,
Oh,
that's what they would be paying.
You know,
Is that,
I don't
Because who's
know.
to say that tomorrow they're not gonna turn on their water and start using water, so they should be
and,
paying.
and if they did, they would have to start paying,
Right,
okay?
Yeah.
But legally, under Prop 218, we can charge them this.
yeah,
I'm not saying we should, I'm asking opinions
So
here.
$59.35 times 180 customers would be an extra $10,683 a month. That's just
And
the,
then if we did the increase,
plus the extra $16 on that.
the extra 625 basis 3, 3, and 25, if that was what we chose.
1125.
well,
So are we,
Okay.
if we were to take out, and maybe, we need to look at financials a bit closer, all of the reserve funding, and you look at our base water rate, is it covering the
The normal daily operations.
Yeah.
When it was done 5 years ago, it did cover it pretty well for the first 3.5 years. We're borderline
yeah,
Barely.
Because
breaking even
10,000.
this at the very last, which is another reason I wanted to do Prop 218s more frequently.
exactly.
Okay. Now, if we don't do this by September, we cannot do any increases because, until we do a Prop 218,
Right,
because it can run for 5 years. Okay, which is what we did. We built in the consumer price index, 1.8% annual increase on the base rate. So we'll come back to that. So the feeling is, do we do that to the 180 customers? Or do we do that?
Right, just
And
adding,
include, the capital improvements, which it is a property-related fee.
I think that, ideally, we would see what the other districts are doing.
Okay, and I know some do that. What about considering a percentage?
can we
of the
do that
base rate.
legally?
Huh?
Can you do that legally?
I don't know. That's what we
Because
would have to
it's-
ask.
Because it seems like it has to be
I know,
their pro
equitable.
rata share,
Yeah.
share, so,
So by not charging that, I would be equitable to the rest of the customers.
right.
There's
These are
that
things
part
we need
too.
to address and make sure we're doing it properly.
Right, because I mean, in theory, if you're only tuning the 1081 to the customers that just have a meter, they're not using the water.
It's inactive
that-
meter.
It's inactive. But then, say I have my house and I'm gone on vacation for 3 months, I'm also not using my meter because I'm not watering my lawn, watering my lawn. Why can't I get my 59 back, and why am I not paying the 1081 for those 3 months I'm not using my
Right.
property? So where's the equitability in that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why am I different? Because I have a meter, I'm getting charged a bill, but I'm not using it.
What about the people who have 2 or 3 meters on their property? I have a meter for my house, I have a meter for my orchards or my pasture, and there are a few customers like that. Or what if I have 2 or 3 homes on my property? You pay double base rate. I have 2 homes on my property. I pay double base rate. Before I use a drop of water, I pay 2 of those and 2 of those.
Mhm.
And if we do this, I have to pay 2 of those. Okay? And we have probably 2 or 3 dozen customers who have homes. I only have 1 meter, but I pay double on those. There are some people who are in the same situation, but are only paying 1 because they drop in a trailer or whatnot. When I was helping in the office a few years back, I had 2 or 3 customers come in and, wow, no, my tenant in the trailer, my property is using too much water, what can I do? I said, oh, so is it your main house? Oh, no, they're a rental. And I said, oh, don't tell me that. Lady, if I report that, you have to pay this also, again. So I try to be nice. So these are some of the things we have to take a look at. And planning and sharing with reserve account stuff. So,
Yeah, that's something we're gonna have to think about.
any questions, any suggestions?
One, just kind of a comment is, starting out last time, one thing we had to figure out, and you can change it to some extent, is what is going to be included in the water rate and what is going to be included in the base rate. If the base rate gets too much and you don't think the customers are going to go for that, you may want to shift some of the expense to
To the water rate.
water rate.
And we have talked about some of that. We do have a formula that we use for redoing the water rate every year based on what the Bureau of Reclamation charges us. Then also includes some of the costs, the electricity, the chemicals, and whatnot in that water rate, okay? But there were some things that could possibly, from the water treatment plant, be moved into the water rate. But are we then undercutting the district by not getting our 25 or 30% from Centerville? Because Centerville pays a percentage of those water treatment costs based on the amount of water they use monthly. Like if we have 170 acre feet go through, they may have 52 acre feet of that.
Right.
So if we pull some of that, but so we would have to make sure that we don't undercut ourselves.
Yes.
Okay? You do the right thing and
That's
shoot
a good
yourself in the
point.
foot at the same time.
That's a good point.
So I want to be careful. I don't mind doing it, but I want to make sure that they end up paying their fair share. Next thing, unless there's any other questions, is we have this coming up by the end of the year, the MOU, the negotiation with the union. So part of the calculation has to be, what is the union going to want in prevailing wage?
Do we already have an idea on
No, we haven't even begun negotiations. And we're gonna need to look at other districts and what they're paying and get some general idea. And I'd like to get this done before we get to this, because it gives us an extra leg to stand on.
Is the MOU on a 2-year basis?
No, we go 3, I think.
Is it 3 years?
I think it's 3.
I
So
wanna
then that's
say
even a
3.
more better reason to run our Prop 218 written water structure on a more 2 to 3 year, because if we're gonna run coincidentally with MOUs, if MOUs are saying raises have to be,
Yeah.
this has to be, this allowance, this safety equipment, whatever, that's gonna be more money going towards
Exactly.
that side that we have to counterbalance.
So
Yep.
these are some of the calculations we have to deal with to make a recommendation to the board for this, okay? So that's just another piece of the puzzle. Did I get in there? Yeah, MOU. Okay, so the payroll MOU revision, that was pretty much covered there. Now let's talk about the North Booster, okay? What is it, 5 or 7 customers?
5, I believe.
Okay, and we know it's running, last 6-month profit to loss, it was about $656 a month average.
Yes.
But that was peak usage through the summer. Prior to that, the bill was $268 for January. Okay, but we got an average of, say, let's just for the sake of it, say $500 a month. Okay, in 21, when they did the Prop 218, they forgot to include that in there because we can include for certain customers based on the cost of the district, that cost. So if we have 5 customers
Yeah.
and it's $500 a month average, are we really charging 5 customers $100 a month extra? They were paying some. We know that 2 of the customers, one's the school and one's the Igo Ono Cemetery.
Oh.
Yep.
Now the cemetery uses a lot of water and they're federally funded. And the school gets their funds through the state and whatnot, so we're not, but what about the 3 residential customers? So do we hit them all with the same amount? We can't say school and cemetery, you're gonna pay the bulk of it, you guys, just an extra 20 a month.
Would we be
Well,
able to
can't we just
put,
break it down on a per unit price?
right, can't we put that
That's what
into
I was gonna
the,
say.
the
That's a
rate?
good, I like that.
Because if I go,
So,
Ono's using.
a per unit, so we would, in their water ratio,
All right.
we would have to include the PG&E,
Mhm.
okay, in their
Can we-
water rate.
And it
Could
would
we
be-
do a separate
So-
water rate for those customers?
I
Um,
don't see why not.
Yes, we can.
So they're gonna be
Yeah,
80
because it's the
cents
north.
instead of 71
Booster.
cents.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Or there could be a surcharge of so much a month.
Right, okay, based on volume used. I
Based
like
on
that.
volume,
That's what
okay.
I'm
I like that, I really
Yeah.
do. I think that is the solution we want.
Yeah.
Because the appropriate people will be paying for
Right,
that.
we
Right.
don't want the residential customers to be hit with $100 bill because the
Exactly.
cemetery is pumping out,
Tons of
over
water to
tons of
keep
water
it
in their
looking
grass.
pristine because they want to be
Yeah.
star ranked as
Yeah,
a,
right.
as a vet cemetery. And there are rankings and they have shot for the platinum level.
They should, they've got a great view of it.
They do.
It's beautiful.
And
It's
they've
great.
been doing well maintained. I helped a couple of Boy Scouts do Eagle projects out there
Oh.
a few years back. Comment?
No.
No, okay. So are we in agreement that we recommend that the North Booster rate be tied to the electrical?
Yes.
And
Yes.
the water rate?
yes.
Okay, so I like that.
Yeah.
How would you calculate a surcharge on that? Would you then look at, say, it's
I'm not
$500 a month, this meter used, say, 1 acre foot, because we'll say, they're using an acre foot a month at the cemetery.
Right.
It's keeping the grasses green in the middle of the summer.
Uh-huh,
So we're calculating that, but this person only used like 100 HCF. Would you break down that $500 based off of, they're using this much HCF versus this much HCF?
Correct.
Okay,
yes. That's
That-
what we're,
that
that's
seems
what we're
fair.
talking about.
that seems.
That's the most
okay.
equitable,
And it would
It's
probably be
based
a
on
month behind.
the actual usage.
Yeah.
Right.
So it would be then an HCF charge.
I think it'd be interesting to look at a year's worth of, go back and recalculate that. Like, what would that look like for
Right.
the cemetery in the summer?
And it would have, in the water rate, it'll have to be a line item added strictly for the North
Yeah.
Booster customers.
Correct.
Okay, so that, I like that, that's a good idea.
I just wanted
Okay.
to know how it worked out, because I was just like.
All right. Any thoughts on frequency of the Prop 218? Annually, every 2 years, every 3
I'd
years?
say a minimum every 2 years is minimum.
2 to 3 years?
Same thing, yeah.
I think we'd get great at this if we did it every 2 years. It's every
I'm
5.
leaning towards 2 years. Some districts do it annually, then it's a small increase based on real time what's happening.
Right.
Well, if you do
Okay.
2 years and you get your matrix set up, it's just a plug and go.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Then you don't
And the
actually-
justification is easy too, because this is what it was last year.
Right.
Yeah, and these are the percentage increases, so this is what we're doing. So I like that.
Another thing with that is on a 2-year interval, you're more likely to have the same board doing a Prop
That's
218
true.
consecutively,
Yeah,
instead of a brand new board.
Nobody's on the board now was there when they did that
Yeah.
in 21. I was starting to work on it, but then my father-in-law moved in with us, dementia, and I was night watch. 2 to 3 hours sleep a day. I had to be awake all night long because he was non-24, meaning you don't know what time it is. He could look out the window, is it nighttime? And it was bright sunny.
Oh, really?
But you know, nice man, a disease caught up to him, that's all. So any other things we want to work on with this tonight? We've got a good basis, I think.
Maybe like a timeline for coming up with, I could, who's gonna take on what, like, send me 5 years of
That was my next thing,
Okay,
it's not on the agenda,
okay.
but yes. So, we're gonna need staff to give us some of that information.
Do you guys
Um,
use QuickBooks Desktop right now?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not the
not
online.
online, okay.
no.
So they could send me Excel financials for
Yeah.
5 years, and then I can
Yes.
start building spreadsheets to create a,
Yeah, can you send me an email with what you want or whatever, and then I can work on with the bookkeeper on getting it for you.
if she's struggling to do it, then I can stop by,
Yeah,
print it, and
absolutely.
email it to myself too.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
So you're gonna take on
I'll
the
do,
percentages?
yeah,
of
I'll
the
create the
various categories?
5-year with looking at kind of
Okay.
increasing.
Who wants to look into what the current, pay rate is for other districts? It's all out there, Transparent California. You
Yeah.
can open it up and look at it. Sometimes on their websites, they even list,
When are we thinking of meeting again to go over this?
well, that's
Okay,
coming
'cause-
up. I wanna have time.
Um,
We will deal with the capital improvement.
Okay,
yeah, that's,
So we'll take that on
okay,
and look at some of the other things. Because we have to decide the priorities and costs to see if it's gonna be a 2 or 3, or maybe it has to be 5 for 1 year and then we drop it back, I don't know.
yeah,
But
well,
that's a hard hit.
I think the biggest thing we're talking about is you have to have this money in reserve in order to qualify for some of these grants, so we
You
need that
do.
funded immediately. So we
Right.
have it set aside.
That's
for
right.
that.
and that's
You know,
what
and it
we'll
could be
figure out, yeah.
It could be a 1 year at this and then we roll it back to that.
Exactly.
Okay, those are decisions that we will recommend to the board based on some of the capital improvement and whatnot. The other thing we have to look at is this figure at 1.8. So if we're doing 2-year, we're gonna have only 1 increase after the first year, because we'll have a new rate. And in year 2, we would have a consumer price index increase, adjustment. So we need to come up with what that adjustment would be.
Are you saying 1.8 or?
No,
what-
that's what it is currently.
That's what
Okay.
it changes.
Well, I wanna know what the
And
new
I
one
think,
is.
but I think we were gonna say CPI plus up to 3% or something.
Maybe.
So I
Yeah.
think that once we look at this 5-year P&L to see the increases year to year on the different categories, we'll have a better idea of, it needs to be 4% or.
To adjust, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in that 3.2 to 3.8 range to be safe. And it's more real time if we do shorter Prop 218 frequencies. So I like that.
I thought that for a while, I know at one point in time, the district changed from, I think, consumer index to construction. index.
Construction cost index.
Because construction was over what just.
Right. So do we do a CCI?
Yeah.
You know, we don't.
And do we do a CCI plus or a CPI plus?
We should not compare the inflation to what beef is or what
Oh, no,
groceries are.
no,
It
I
should
agree.
be what the construction or engineering.
Could we
Possibly.
actually take it off of a review of the 5 years increase? What percentage those, the regulatory fees, the insurance, the labor costs, the materials for the distribution, the pipes, the valves, and whatever, and then build it that way.
That or just go by the state, construction index is doing.
Okay? We'll
Yeah,
have to look
things
at
we can
those
look at,
to decide which way to go.
That would be simpler to justify.
Caitlin, your hand up for a reason?
Yeah, the CCI last year went up, looks like it was like 2.3%, or excuse me, 2.9% for the 23 to the 24 year. December,
See?
December. So it goes up a little bit higher than this
1.8, no,
CPI. So we
2.9.
should, and in reality, we should go on a more industrial
Yeah.
Agreed,
aspect, being construction,
Right.
because we are in industrial
correct.
situation with our.
Is there
So,
utilities?
construction cost index is probably a little more accurate. Do we go strictly with that, or do we throw a little plus in there? For a small amount, 1, 2 tenths or something?
As long as you can justify it.
Exactly, and we have to figure out how to justify that.
Look at the last couple of years of the increase
Right,
of the
but it may be
CCIs.
based also on the percentage increase of the various categories in our P and L. And we may find that insurance went up by 18%, regulatory by 14.6, payroll only 3.8 maybe, or whatever. We know it goes up by
Regulatory.
cost of living index
that's what
annually.
I'm saying.
So we know there's already built in, and under the current MOU, it's capped at 2%, is it, or is it 3%? A minimum
3.
and a cap. So there's a minimum 2 and a cap at 3, I think.
I thought it was a cap of 4.
Well, maybe.
And-
I don't have the MOU in front of me,
two.
but there is a cap, and we'll be doing a cap again at the next MOU.
Right.
Okay? Is that enough to work on? Do you want to reach out, Dennis, to either online or to California and look for the costs, the various districts for payroll,
Okay.
and also what their rates are?
What's the website?
Transparent California. And then just the local ones around here, Bella Vista, Centerville, City of Anderson, City of Reading. Now, some of those, they have administrative staff doing a lot of things.
Mhm.
So it's cheaper administratively than it would be here. Since we're a smaller district, we still have to get all that same work done with fewer people. So we have to take a look at some of the smaller ones. And you can even go to Clear Creek in Lassen County. There is a Clear Creek,
Yeah.
That's right.
okay? Or you can go south a little bit too. It'll be there, but Transparent California. And you look for the water districts, and it should lay out distribution, water treatment, general managers, administrative staff,
And that's
whatnot.
gonna, usually it includes their wages and benefits.
Exactly. Okay. Any other questions, any comments?
No, I think that's a very good start to the Prop 218.
Okay. Staff will help Sarah
Yep.
with some things. Dennis, you're gonna research that. We will work on
CIP.
capital improvement. And what else do we think we need to be getting done? And then when do we want to meet again?
Oh,
Okay? And then I want to wrap it up because we're coming up on an hour and 15 minutes.
If you're gonna do the planning and steering committee meeting next
Thursday.
Thursday.
Maybe plan for the week after, because I know you're gone the 11th through 17th, Scott. you
Yep.
said. So maybe the first week of March, not to like.
Yeah, that
push it
sounds
way
Ooh,
on you
no,
guys.
no, you mean first week of April. First week of March, I'm leaving in March.
No, right.
Caitlin's saying,
Okay, so
Jump
you
in
think
before you
that,
leave.
that first week?
Yeah.
Like maybe like
That's
the 4th or
possible.
5th, just as kind of like a recoup of where people are
I
standing to
understand.
get a better idea of moving forward. Yeah, it's-
Do you think you guys have enough time to do the reviews? Because that's kind of a short turnaround.
It's like
Yeah.
a 2-week turnaround.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it ought to be a little longer than
I
that.
have
Okay.
a Worms meeting on the 4th.
Okay, that's
so
fine.
The 5th would be
And
better.
Logan, what about you?
yeah, you know what?
I'm thinking,
we've got ag committee on Wednesday, the 25th.
Yes,
Okay, so
yeah,
That's
we're having a public meeting to get the farmer's market started up again
Oh.
for this year. So we have planning, steering, we have ag, I have finance,
yeah,
Centerville.
You know,
Centerville too.
we can't do a lot until that capital improvement plan is.
And Jim said he
that's
would
gonna
have
be
it
quite a
ready.
job.
It is.
Jim hopes to
Yes.
have it ready for us by Monday. Okay, and then we're meeting on Thursday to
That was
discuss
my
it.
role.
And I'm meeting with Jim tomorrow.
It's still gonna be,
I agree. But we have to identify the immediate needs, that first year or two. Okay, and then when we do the Prop 218, the 3 to 5 year ones go into the next Prop 218 and on and on and on. Okay, and that's another reason for that 2-year window, I think.
Part of my other idea of the situation is thinking ahead, doing like maybe the first week of March if it's feasible, or the like 9th or 10th before you go out of town, is the regular scheduled board meeting is Wednesday the 18th.
And I won't be home until the 17th at night.
Yeah, so having some kind of
I've got a
update.
12-hour
for
drive
the
that
board.
day, the 17th.
oh,
I leave at about 5 a.m.
oh boy.
I'm also involved in a number of projects on my plate right now.
Okay,
But
so
I will make time.
April 1st or before you leave, because that's kind of where we're at.
I'm not sure there's enough time for people to gather
I don't
at
think
a
there is.
reasonable pace for
Let's do
that.
I don't
April
think there is.
1st then.
Okay, so let's push it back then. April 1st, April Fool's Day? Sure. What day of the week is that?
It's a
Wednesday.
Okay.
Does that, yeah.
When is your deadline? You said April what?
April 15th. I'm,
April
by the
15th.
1st, I should be okay. I mean, I'll probably try to get this done on a Saturday or Sunday.
I understand.
So I'll probably try to get it done sooner than later, because once I hit March, I'm usually
I
crazy,
understand.
so.
And
But
we're not
April
far
1st,
from March.
April 1st will probably be okay.
All right, I want to make sure. I
Yeah.
don't want to box you into a corner where you're going pulling your hair out. Is that enough time for you, Dennis?
Yeah.
You've got a number of districts,
Yeah.
you just lay it all out.
Especially
District A,
'cause
B, C, and this is this and this.
We might be leaving April 16th or April 17th for like 3 months, so.
Yeah.
Good for
If
you.
I could meet with at least these
Yeah.
figures beforehand.
Yeah, we'll meet up whenever you want.
Also, if after that, and there's a little bit of work you can do before you leave, you can just email it to
Right.
Dale.
Yeah.
You know, and then it'll be brought up in the meeting. So once we have capital improvement done and these other things, I'm looking at maybe early to mid-May to actually put out the 45-day notice so
Because
that
that
we
would give
can,
us 4 months in theory, because if we have to have it done by September.
well, we can have it done sooner.
Yeah.
Right, that.
We're already talking about doing it every 2 years.
Right.
You know, but you can only stretch it to 5, and then you can't take the increases and continue them. You
Yeah, I
have to
think
stop
that's-
at what it was, so we would have to stop at that,
Well,
you
it's
know,
just
bump
if
it
there
up.
is pushback, if for some reason it
Right.
goes through the protest situation.
Right.
That at least gives a little bit of
Right.
more time to.
And it's gonna be important that we do it right,
Exactly.
very transparent, and we let the public know in the justification and in the meetings what we're doing with the money. You know,
Exactly.
so it's gonna fall on Dale and staff to provide us with that capital improvement plan. We have to do this, and then this, and then this, and then this. The breaks are happening because of these things, and we're gonna rectify that by doing these
Doing
things.
these.
Could we get, you said that the capital improvement might be done by Monday. Can we get that to kind of look at before the next meeting?
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe
Whatever
have-
I get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'll
On-
probably, as soon as I get, if we have like a group email that we're
Yeah,
all on,
absolutely.
I can, once I get this done, if it's before the 1st, let's let people look at it and start thinking of questions or tweaks or
Sure.
adjustments that I need
That's a
made, so
good
maybe it's more
idea.
final by then.
Oh, we're meeting 2:00 Thursday?
Yeah, well, we gotta talk about that.
You were saying your boss would,
Yeah,
Why?
so we can, but I missed that my wife has an appointment I have to be home at 3:00. So if we could go to 1, that would be better, but I can still be
Okay.
there.
And I talked to Jim.
1:30.
He said one.
Okay.
So we'll be meeting next Thursday to work on that capital
Okay.
improvement plan. So we can email that to you. If you were available, you could come and listen in.
Sure.
What day is that?
Next Thursday, the 26th,
Six.
yeah.
At one.
Okay, so you guys are both welcome to come along.
Okay.
And you can ask questions. It's an open meeting for the public, just kind of like this one is. So we will definitely want your opinions.
Absolutely.
And that capital improvement, you don't rush that thing. I mean, you gotta, it's an important thing. If there's,
We're gonna do a
if we
short-term one,
jump in and do,
immediate
you
needs,
gotta do it
and
short.
then we're gonna keep pushing out gradually. We don't have the money to have PACE or RCAC might be able to do one, but it would be probably a year and a half before they could. But PACE or other people are gonna charge us close to $100,000 or more to do one.
The pace,
And we're gonna have to figure out a way to do that and possibly get some grant money to cover some of that,
That's the plan.
okay? To do it
We're-
properly.
Yeah, we're
We
not
have to-
rushing.
This is sort of fire sale, you gotta get this done now,
Right.
kind of a thing. And then by every 2 years, we can make adjustments to those add-ons, okay? So, where do you fall on this for this kind of customers?
Well, do we need to make that decision now?
No, but I want them thinking about
Oh,
it,
I
okay?
think that the.
Base rate or just these two?
I think
Percentage of the
I
base
think
rate?
Just those two.
Just those two, all right, I kind of
I
agree.
think a percentage of the base rate.
Can we do a
If it's
percentage though?
legally,
Yeah.
if you can do it, like what's in the base rate. If not, then I would think just the 1081 and the 6.
I think we need to look at it a little bit more because, like you were saying, what if I'm like, hey, I'm out of town for 3 months. I want that money back because these
Right.
other people didn't pay their share. I mean, I'm not saying I would do that, but
Right.
that's things we have to think about.
Except they don't want to lose their water service. You know, and water continues to run sometimes for ice makers, or you may, in the summertime, if you're gone for 3 months, you better have your irrigation on timers.
Then if
You
you
know,
ever
you
leave,
better have some sort of a float in your doggy's water dish.
I think that's where we have to see, look at the other districts and see what they're doing and
Okay.
I think so, too.
emulate that.
yeah,
I don't have a problem with that. And can you get me the information for the North Booster? So we can work that into the water rate,
Sure.
okay? And we'll work it, because we got, Beverly and I will probably be working on that water rate fairly soon.
I'd be curious to see what it would have been for those 5 customers, that share of that 6,000
know.
a year. Is it,
Now,
the cemetery's gonna be 3,000 or,
Can we have to do this in the Prop 218, so in the new water rate, we can't just throw that in for the start of March,
No.
okay? Because this is a fee attached to.
Yeah, no, it's gonna have
Okay,
to
so
be
it has to
implemented
wait.
after.
But, you know, and at some point, we need to let the customers know it's gonna happen.
Right.
With the next Prop 218.
Well, the surcharge is attached to the base rate, not the water itself.
If
right?
we're-
If we do a surcharge, but if we do it based on their HCF usage, then it becomes part of the water rate
but if
for
we,
those 5 customers. Okay,
But see,
because that's the cost of them getting the water to them.
Right, right.
Okay, so they'll pay the regular, what it costs to get it out of the water treatment plant, which is 52, 55, whatever cents per HCF, plus
An additional cent.
and what we'll do is figure out over the course of the year, how many HCFs were used by those 5 customers, and then take the total electrical cost with an anticipated slight increase,
Mm-hmm.
and then do the division, and then this will be the additional cost per HCF to cover for the electricity.
Yeah, it might be a dime a unit or 20 cents a unit or whatever.
Oh,
it
yeah.
is.
It could be
Right.
something as simple as that,
Right.
Yeah.
but we have to get the figures and do the math.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay.
What's the date for the next one? Or-
April
April
1st, are we?
1st.
at
We're on for
6 or
April 1st?
6:30.
6:30 here again?
6:30 is easier.
Sure.
Okay, I'm good with that. It is 7:54. meeting's adjourned.